so much a year. That's not really a thing in traditional boxing.
Yeah, I know, but it really hasn't been. It hasn't been tough. You know, what we're starting to find is we talk to all these kids. They all want to fight and they want to be consistent. They want to get their careers on the fast track, and you know, when you fight consistently, you not only get better, but you make more money. So it's always a good thing. And the more times you fight, the more people hear your name, see you fight, watch the incredible things you do in the ring, and you know, before you know it, these guys will be fighting in big title fights.
Talking about title fights, when do you see the Zuffa boxing fighting for titles?
Soon.
Or belts? Okay.
Very soon.
Okay, I love that. My last question, maybe I should know, but I'm coming from a boxing background. Is there a reason why we don't get to speak to the not winning side?
To the not winning side?
Yeah, the athlete that doesn't win.
Lene?
Yeah, okay, that's all I wanted to know.
Cool, thank you.
Right over here to your other side.
Hi.
Hi, Dana. You mentioned that you're going to be adding some more shows. How likely are those shows going to be in other arenas or places around the country outside of Apex?
Very likely.
And is that happening as a result of new signings, or is that happening you already have on the roster?
Well, it'll definitely be new signing, new deals, more territories to go into. I'm telling you guys, at the end of 26, like I said before, I'll let our body of work this year speak for itself, but it's going to be impressive.
What has Turkey's response been to the early shows here?
What is who saying?
Turkey, have you spoken to Turkey, and what has his feedback been about the early shows that have happened here?
No, I haven't talked to him. Nick has. He and I were texting last night, but about his fight last night. Yeah, no, he's happy with it. You know, I told you coming into this, my approach was to build it from the ground up again, and that's what we're doing here. And tonight, any of you, most of you aren't old enough, but USA's Tuesday Night Fights tonight had that feel, and USA's Tuesday Night Fights created all the pay-per-view stars of the 90s, and that's the goal here.
So is Sunday night going to be more of a consistent thing, even going into, let's say, football season, for example? Or are you going to be putting on fights going against the NFL?
Will we?
That's my question, yeah.
I mean, eventually, yeah. Once NFL starts up again, yeah, we probably will.
And then final question for me. We know you watched the fights last night. You mentioned about the wig coming off. What was your feedback on Shakur versus Teofimo? How surprised were you about how that played out?
I don't know if I was very surprised. He looked good, and you know, he won the fight easily, in my opinion. Yeah?
Dana, just a follow-up for you. Is there an opponent announced for Jai yet?
We have not.
Do you know when that will get finalized?
This week, probably, yeah.
And then another question. I know you're a very busy guy. I'm just kind of wondering, how's the bandwidth been like for you having to now do this?
Yeah. Listen, I knew what I was getting into. You know, I put a lot on my plate. Now it's time to eat. I got a hell of a 26 coming up, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited, and yeah, it is what it is. You know, you want to take on all these other things. You know, you got to get in there and work.
Speaking of the NFL, big game next Sunday. Can we get your quick Super Bowl prediction?
My prediction is you got the right hat on. That's my prediction. Patriots.
You know what, just a quick follow-up. The question before was about kind of your bandwidth. And, you know, at your level, there's not a lot of individuals who have this kind of experience. You're running multiple leagues. Who are you talking to? Like, what does your circle look like in terms of kind of being able to maintain the vision and also just the stamina to do what you're trying to do? Hasn't really been done before.
Yeah, well, what you do is no one guy does anything. You build a great team around you, and you know, the UFC is such a well-oiled machine now. It's literally runs perfectly. And now for Zuffa Boxing, done the same thing. The team that we have built here is they're unbelievable, man. These guys are, I like killers. And, you know, on the UFC side and on the Zuffa boxing side, I'm surrounded by absolute serial killers. And I love it. Have a great day.
Estoy acá solo por el acaso de que se vuelva una conversación en español para que toda la gente entienda. Es por eso. No para ti, porque tú no me necesitas.
Congrats, Ray, on the win. How are you feeling right now?
Where you at?
Right here, man.
I'm feeling good, man. I'm very happy. You know, I'm just very grateful to God. You know, and I'm just very happy.
Did anything from your opponent surprise you or anything about the fight surprise you?
He got a hard head, and you know, he's a dog. I knew he was a warrior. You know, I was saying that to everybody, and you know, he showed that he prepared for this moment too. You know, he was ready. He came to win.
Obviously, we've seen you in a lot of tough fights throughout your career, but when you see an opponent like that come out guns blazing from the very start, how do you adjust to ultimately, you know, get the win the way you did today?
I just stayed calm. You know, in the early rounds, I got caught in the fire. You know, like we spoke about. Like I see blood, and you know, I kind of just going for the kill. But you know, I just stayed calm. I listened to my corner and used my jab and my footwork.
What do you rank this amongst your previous fights in terms of, you know, getting takeaways and learning lessons?
It was a good experience. Got cut, never been cut. You know, I dug deep, and it was definitely up there.
I'm assuming you did medicals and stuff. Do you know how long you'll be out for or anything like that?
No, I'm not sure.
If it was up to you, how many times would you like to fight for the remainder of this year?
I'd like to fight 3 times this year.
Yeah, and obviously, I asked you earlier this week, but obviously a former opponent of yours, Edwin De Los Santos, got signed to Zuffa Boxing. Is that, you know, a matchup that makes more sense than ever right now?
Definitely. Everything happens for a reason. You know, God has a plan, and if He's here, it's because you know He's wants me to do things right this time. You know, I'm gonna be given another opportunity, and I'm gonna take it and make the best out of it when the moment comes.
And did you get to speak to Dana and the Zuffa brass after your amazing fight?
No, I was up in the back getting stitched up.
Just any last messages to all the people that watched your fight today?
I just want to say thank you. Thank you guys for supporting, tuning in on Paramount Plus. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. You know, this is what we come to do here at Zuffa.
Rayo, back over here, Marcos.
Sir.
Hey, how'd you feel? I know it's been a while since the last fight. Like, how'd you feel in there? Did you feel any rust or anything like that?
Yeah, early in the, you know, first couple rounds, I just got caught in the fire, you know. But I just had to relax and stay calm, use my experience, and that's what I did. I feel good. Diego was a tough opponent, and he showed that, you know, he had a lot of grit, and he came in to win.
Yeah, was it a lot tougher than what you expected it would be?
You know, he had a lot harder head than I thought he would. He had a chin on him, and, you know, I tip my hat off to him. But no, I'm not surprised, you know. He's a Mexican warrior, you know. He's a dog.
In terms of how you fought, you know, thinking of the fight, you happy with your performance, or are you thinking like, man, I could have done this a little bit better? And no, I'm a lot better than what I showed tonight.
If the fans were entertained, then I'm happy. I'll go back. I'll make my adjustments. I hadn't fought in a year, but yeah, I got the victory. I can't complain. It was a good fight. I'm happy.
Rayo, felicidades con el triunfo. Un poquito en inglés de lo que hablan. Tremenda pelea. Obviamente lo que esperamos de tu duelo. ¿Algo te sorprendió de tu oponente en esta noche?
No me sorprendió. Yo sabía que Diego venía con todo. Esta era una oportunidad muy grande también para él, ¿no? Él vino a hacer hacer su nombre y pues yo estaba listo, estaba preparado, hice mis ajustes y gané. Gracias a Dios.
No, nothing about my opponent surprised me. I knew this was an opportunity just as good as an opportunity for me as it was for him. I was prepared, ready to make the adjustments, and I think everything went all right.
Vimos que tuviste muy bien trabajo de pie. Normalmente trato de conectar y ya estaba saliendo de estas instancias. No pudo cortarle el ring. ¿Esto fue parte de la estrategia de usar tu trabajo de pie para hacer la pelea a tu modo y como tú te pudiste fajar?
Sí, claro, yo pienso que yo fui más atlético que él y le usé mi ventaja. Él estaba un poquito parado y de pie plano y yo pues usé mis boxeos y mis ángulos y hice lo que tuve que hacer para ganar.
As far as your footwork, you were able to cut angles on him. I guess I did feel that I was more athletic than he was. I used, to cut angles. I felt that he was flat-footed a little bit, and I used my advantage to take advantage of him.
Irónicamente, en tantas guerras es la primera vez que sufres vimos esa sangre que te cortaron. ¿Cuál fue el ajuste, la mentalidad o en sí poder mantenerte, bien y no sacarse de onda, no que te afectara negativamente y poder hacer el ajuste hasta para eso y una buena esquina que pudo quitar la sangre?
Sí, la verdad que le tengo que dar las gracias a mi esquina, a mi entrenador Mario, a Alexis y el que nos estaba ayudando con las cortadas. Me tuvieron calmado, me dijeron que respire y que no pasa nada y que me quede enfocado y es lo que hice.
So many battles, so many wars you've been through, you've never been cut. So what kind of adjustment did you have to make because of the fact that you had that? You do have to thank Mario and Alexis, my corners, and also the cutman there to just, again, stay chill, stay calm, stay on track, and make the correct adjustments to keep on.
El tema de la noche ha sido que todos los peleadores, no es exageración, han estado súper contentos, se sienten bien, que tienen ese valor de una promoción que en sí, vamos a decir la palabra, los quiere. ¿Cómo se ha sentido esa decisión que hiciste y ya que hemos visto tu primer desempeño con la compañía de Zuffa?
No, yo me siento muy bien, la verdad, muy agradecido con Dios por esta oportunidad. La verdad que aquí sí me hacen sentir como un profesional, el mejor tratamiento y muy contento y estoy muy excitado por lo que viene en el futuro.
A lot of the fighters, no exceptions, have raved about the conditions and the resources that have been given to them by the organization. And how do you feel about the fact that you've just been through your first fight after this? And I feel very grateful to God for the opportunity for those. I really feel that I'm cared for, and I feel like a true professional here. And for real, this was really good.
Felicidades con el triunfo, mediante Mena Guerra.
Muchas gracias.
Hi, Elaine here. I want to know, it sounds like your corner did an excellent job keeping you composed, especially, during those first challenging rounds. What was going through your mind?
Just stay calm, he was coming in swinging hard and I stayed calm, bobbing, weaving, letting him miss and just making him pay.
What challenges did you anticipate going into this fight with Torres?
Exactly that. I knew he was a dog and I was ready for it, so I was prepared. It's different when you're in it, but I knew it was going to be similar to what it was, and I was ready mentally.
Coming from a traditional background in boxing to now like a league style of organization, I would say. We have noticed that a lot of the fights are truly really matched very well. They're a good 50-50. We've seen your performance, also Torres's. How do you see the difference, being matched to someone so closely in percentage that way?
I mean, that's what it's about. We want good fights. Again, got to tip my hat off to Diego Torres. He only had one loss. He came to win. He prepared, and I'm glad he did. I'm glad we put on the show, and this is what we want to do: give fans good fights.
What will you rate your performance?
I'm not sure. I have to go back and look at it. I know I dropped my hands a little bit more than I would have wanted to, but it's cool.
Last question for me. You're moving back down to 135 after previously holding a title at 140. How has your body responded to the cut, first off, and also do you see the lightweight division as your long-term vision?
Yeah. I had a great, tremendous cut for this. Just eating healthy, staying, just staying on top of my discipline, and I enjoyed it very much, and yeah, I plan to stay here. I had no problem.
Thank you so much. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
What are your thoughts on Tio versus Shakur?
I thought it was a great fight. It went exactly as I thought. Styles make fights. This is what boxing's about. But stylistically, it was a bad matchup for Teofimo. He kept getting hit with that jab, and he refused to pick up his left hand. Continued to drop his hand, and then when he would throw his with his right hand, he would lunge his right foot over. And that's just not what you do. You gotta fight coordinated when you're fighting a guy like Shakur Stevenson. Coordinate your feet and your hands together and let your hands go.
Do you agree with Tio potentially going to 147?
Nah, I don't. Nah. I thought it was just bad stylistically. Boxing is all about styles. He's a boxer. That's just what he is. But his advantages for Shakur Stevenson were, they showed. He was short. He's shorter. He drops his hands. You can't do that with when you're fighting a lefty. He broke him down with just the jab alone. It's not that he was small. It's not that he was stronger than him. It's that he didn't keep his hands up. But yeah, I don't think he should go up to 147. I think he's just styles. He's a boxer before anything.
Congrats on the win.
Jose, is that a fight that you would like to right here? Good to see you? Is that a fight that you would like to take on, Shakur?
Yeah. I've been watching Shakur since I was young, and I couldn't compete in the national tournaments when I was young because my parents didn't have money to take me, and he was always a top amateur. But I know I have a couple losses. I know Shakur is this and that, but like I said, boxing is all about styles. Edwin De Los Santos gave him a good fight, but Edwin De Los Santos, he shot twice, and then he would give up a reset. You can't do that with Shakur Stevenson. Cepeda gave him a great fight, but he was just kind of all here. I think I got all the abilities, and we would make, it takes two to tango.
Yeah.
And I think me and him would be a great fight later down the line. But yeah, hopefully.
You're a world champion who's already made this move to Zuffa Boxing. Do you anticipate that other world champions are going to make this move pretty frequently by the end of this year?
Yeah, probably. Hopefully, why not? I would definitely recommend it. Opataya took the chance, and I think he's gonna be very happy. I'm very happy with everything, and I'm getting paid great. The people that don't know, they're downplaying everything about it, but yeah, I'm very happy. I'd recommend it.
Rayo, just two more follow-up. Just saw but the cut. How long is it you think they're gonna have you out for? I know you said you want to fight again this year, but is it something where you're gonna be out 6 months?
I'm not sure. I have a baby girl on the way. She's due in 2 months. So, I would like to be with my girlfriend through the early stage, and but hopefully I'm back by the summer.
And also, too, Keyshawn fought on the card. I would imagine. Do you have your sights set on potentially maybe Keyshawn as well in the future?
If I had to pick, I would want to fight Shakur Stevenson. Keyshawn Davis, I tip my hat off to him. He looked great.
So Dana was in here mentioning that you would be able to fight, Zuffa fighters would be able to fight for the Ring Magazine belt as well. So there'll be some crossover in there. You mentioned Shakur. What about your style and your experience makes you think that you are a good matchup for Shakur? 'Cause you mentioned styles make fights.
Yeah, styles make fights. You look at Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo's like 5'6", short, right-handed. I'm 5'10". It's different. Cepeda was 5'8". Like, we just match up perfectly. And I come to fight, and he's a defensive fighter. I know I have a few losses on my record, but I don't think that matters. It's all about putting on great shows for the fans, and I think it would be a hell of a fight.
You said something interesting about how your parents didn't have enough money to put you on in all of these tournaments as an amateur. Something I actually know a little bit about as a parent raising a kid in competitive combat sports. How has that impacted your growth as a professional, not being able to compete as much as an amateur?
You know, growing up, I was just a kid. You know, I was a big amateur. I wanted to do all that, find the tournaments, maybe, you know, do the Olympics, but, you know, I couldn't. I had to watch from the sidelines, and my dad just, you know, just reminded me that, you know, it's okay. One day I would have my shot at these guys, and I'm here now, and, you know, I think it would be great to, you know, fight these guys.
Just a final question. What would you say to other young men who are in your position where they just have to be scrappy and grind it out instead of being at these tournaments? What did you do? What would you say to them to stay focused?
Just be consistent. Don't worry about the noise. Every day, just worry about getting better and enjoy the process. I think everybody these days wants everything so fast. Everybody wants to, you know, do things so quick, but I think you gotta enjoy the process and enjoy the come up, and yeah, I think it all makes for a better story. Thank you.